I've had the Africa Twin now for a little over a year. During that time it's been used on-road, off-road, for commuting and for two-up riding. I've also added quite a few aftermarket accessories in that time, some during the first few days of ownership, others over the following 12 months. In this video I'm going to cover how the mods have held up over time. First, let's talk about protection. SW Motec crash bars were fitted on day one. They have survived multiple stationary drops off-road with just a few scratches to show. A black paint pen hides them well though. I can also remove my fairings with these on with just the removal of the front crossbar. The B&B Off-Road Safari bash plate was one of the first bash plates on the market and still one of the best in my opinion. It's big, it's wide, it's solid, and now with the DCT add-on that's standard on Safari bash plates for DCT model, it protects very, very well. My engine side cases are well protected and I'm completely happy with this bash plate. Hepco and Becker handguard bars have also survived static drops without fail. These cover the factory plastic handguards, helping retain the OEM look. A few scratches but no damage, and they have no doubt saved the factory plastics many times. B&B off-road radiator guards replace the very basic factory plastic guards. Made in the same style as dirt bike guards, they are well made, although a little annoying to remove when needing to access the air filters. I had to section mine out to allow the crossbar for the crash bars to fit, but this isn't B&B's fault. SW Motec Dakar mounts are part of the luggage kit, but with the bags removed, serve as great protection for the rear of the bike without looking ugly if you're into that. They have also stood up to static drops, but not bearing the weight of the bike. They also help as being another grab point for maneuvering the bike around or onto the center stand. The front fender lift was purchased from Life Cubed, who 3D prints them. They increase the clearance between the tyre and the guard by about 20mm. I've had no issue with my set, but I've seen others who have had the 3D printed sections fail. Other companies produce these in alloy now. Next is tyres, which is a big talking point on ADV bikes. I run Motov's Tractionator Adventure tyres, which are a big block style knobby tyre. I've just put a fresh rear on due to a bad puncture, but the tyre was getting worn anyway. Inside these tyres I run heavy duty tubes. Apart from the one puncture which was due to debris on the road, these tyres have stood up really well. Engine modifications now, and there's only three things I've done here. The full Termi exhaust was fitted as soon as I got the bike home. It shaves a bit of weight, looks great and sounds fantastic. I regularly receive comments on how good it sounds. I'd definitely buy one again without hesitation. Late last year I fitted Unifilter main air filters and the optional snorkel mounted pre-filters. When I recently had the fairings off, I checked the filters and they were fine and there was no dusting behind the filter. Being foam filters, they are reusable. To go with the increased exhaust flow, I fitted the booster plug. I only recently installed this and it was a pain in the ass to fit. It requires fairings off, tank off and the airbox lifted up to fit. When fitted, the bike doesn't seem any more powerful, but the engine sounds and feels smoother. Overall, I'm happy with the performance. Storage and luggage is next. I used to run a large tail bag, but the attachment wasn't the best and eventually failed when off-road. For now, I just use bungee cords and straps to hold down whatever I need to the B&B luggage plates. Combined, these give the Africa a ton of storage room on the big flat surface, with lots of slots to tie down on. Having the plate over the pillion seat means I can keep the weight from being so far back, and with just two bolts removed, I can pillion while still retaining some luggage space. SW Motec Dakar soft bags mount to the racks on the side. They give great flexibility with storage being easy to fit and remove. They have survived static drops off-road without falling apart. The waterproof liner inside also works well. The racks look great without the bags, as previously mentioned. The homemade tool tube has been great, long enough to store 2-foot long tyre levers and also other tools needed to remove the tyre on the side of the road. I've had no problems with its basic design, being PVC tubing with some end caps. Inside the factory toolbox I keep a patch repair kit and a few spanners, and then under the seat is a mini compressor which I can plug into the 12-volt socket on the instrument cluster. The last topic on modifications is rider aids. Right up the front is a Batson screen riser holding the factory screen that gives an initial rise of 2.5 centimeters, and 7 centimeters of adjustment on top of that. It's well made and easy to use. I did lose one of the adjusting knobs, which was my fault from not tightening it enough, and ordering parts from Batson in Germany was simple. I had an email reply within minutes inquiring about getting some spare parts sent to Australia. It was an easy process. Behind the screen is a Garmin 390 GPS mounted on the bar above the instrument cluster. Day to day, I only really use it as a way to see the accurate speed of the bike, but I have loaded a few tracks into it and used it that way. I got this for a bargain from a shop that was closing down. I would eventually like to add the tyre pressure and monitoring setup. On the bars, I have the Ram Mount X grip, which mounts through the hole in the stem. It holds my Samsung Galaxy S7 phone fine and doesn't get in the way. Oxford heated grips are a recent addition when I got them from eBay really cheap. I've had the exact same setup on my KLR 650 with no issues. I feel the Oxford heated grips are a much more reliable option than the factory Honda setup. For cruise control, I have the Atlas throttle lock. It's a slim unit and easy to fit. When mounted in the right spot, it's easy to use. At the moment, I have the newest generation of the Atlas throttle lock in transit and I hope to fit it soon. The newer generation is a bit smaller and supposed to be even easier to use. Although this isn't as good as full-blown cruise control like on BMWs, it's great for giving your right hand a bit of a rest on a long ride. The factory foot pegs on the Africa Twin are tiny, as if they're meant for a much smaller bike. I didn't want to spend a fortune on pegs, so I settled for the IMS foot pegs meant for an XR650. They have a much bigger platform than the stock foot pegs and more aggressive teeth. Behind the bars I have a piece of rubber cut to size to help reduce the wind buffeting I sometimes experience. This piece helps redirect airflow out to the sides instead of upwards towards my helmet. This issue does not affect everyone. This was a cheap homemade fix that has worked well so far. Living with the DCT has been great. I've come to learn how it shifts and can mostly anticipate when it shifts automatically. I nearly always ride in Sports 3 mode and use a bit of manual mode off-road. Overall, there's no modifications on this bike that I feel are lacking or need replacement. The crash protection has proven itself multiple times, the tyres are great, the bike is very user-friendly and the DCT is easy to use. There are great communities online for owners to share real-world product information and feedback. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a new style of production for me and I appreciate any feedback.